Okay. Okay. Moving on. Thank you. Let me see if I can present. Okay, cool. Can we all see the screen? What can we see? Because at this point, I don't know what we can see.
Agenda.
Fantastic. You already know me. Or now I'm no longer a student. Now I'm done. We're not reviewing the essays today. We're reviewing essays tomorrow. For those of you dropping your link, I just said if you have your link close by, you could bring it up, right? So that we can use it. As you go along, as I talk through things, you might see things in your essays that you want to take out, things you want to put in, right? That's the goal of this session. Okay, so usually the good place to start in the leadership essay is a blank page. And the reason you start from a blank page is because we have preconceived notions, every single one of us, we have preconceived notions to how we approach things, right? How we approach work, how we approach people for the first time, for the second time. You see someone and you already have an impression of what they are, what they do, and what they like. You hear someone talk and you think you know the person. And then you think, so preconceived notions exist. It also exists in our minds, right? So this also applies to writing too, because writing is basically bringing out what's in the head and putting it on paper, right? And those preconceived notions, they have to start in a blank page. And when you actually do some personal examination of yourself, you will see that there is a way you've assumed leadership experiences. There's a way you define leadership experiences. Some persons will say that because they speak on the WhatsApp group that we have, that is some form or some sort of leadership experience. Some persons will say that because they respond to other people's question on the group, that is some form of leadership experience, right? But when it comes to the Chevening Scholarship, we are not asking for your idea of leadership. We're asking for your demonstration of leadership. I'm saying we in the context of what the scholarship demands, not we as people reviewing your essays. So Chevening would want you to demonstrate your leadership or the potential of it, right? And then if you can demonstrate first your leadership in your essay from your life, then you can also show that you have a potential to be a future leader. So whatever I'm saying should show that currently I am a leader. In the future, I would also be a leader in whatever field I choose, in whatever sector I choose. So this is where the thought and the thinking begins. Now, if I can understand that it's about how I have been a leader and how I intend or how I could show potential for still remaining a leader, then I can then say, where is this arena of leadership? This arena of leadership, as it were, is two arenas. Guys, can we hear me? People are saying my voice is going on and off. Is my voice going on and off for everyone?
Not for me. Your voice is fine here.
No, it's fine here.
Wait, let me be sure. Wait, is my voice going on and off, Said? Let's get some feedback so that I don't waste this moment.
I guess it's my network.
Maybe from the person's
I guess it's my network. Yeah,
okay.
Maybe. Thank you.
Okay. So some of you already applied before. Some of you have led in school. So this will be the moment for you to bring those things back, okay? Now, the fields and the communities is the arena of leadership that you would have to consider. What arenas have I played the football match in terms of leadership, right? There are football clubs, right? But the greatest football club in the history of football clubs is what club? Anybody? There are football clubs. The greatest football club in the history of football clubs. Sorry? Somebody should talk.
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
It's Arsenal.
Barcelona.
It is Arsenal.
Who will be saying it's Arsenal?
I would have said I should try it out, but
You choose what you want now.
In
I
the
didn't
history
rate
of football,
Emmanuel.
in the history of football, it is Real Madrid.
Because you support them.
No, because the data shows that it's Real Madrid.
Leave data
It's
alone
actually Real
first now.
Madrid. 15 Champions League. So nobody has that. Nobody's even closer.
Oh my
Story.
goodness.
Hello.
What is greatness if it's not evidence?
Actually, now, at least from LinkedIn, it is about how you can package yourself. So leave all that
We are
one.
not on
It's what you
LinkedIn
say
in
you
this
want.
category. This is not a LinkedIn place.
Oh, leave it. Leave it. Anyways, I actually don't follow football, so I was just putting your legs.
That's fine. But you get the point. So in the history of football, the greatest has been Real Madrid. And they also have the greatest stadium in the world. I mean, for football. Anyway, Real Madrid aside. And their coach is so amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay, good. Now, in terms of leadership, Chivney was not there when you went to secondary school. You were not there when you went to university, right? But then you can then say that my leadership essay is how I can express all of these things. But the key word here is experiences. So on the screen, the leadership essay is your opportunity to showcase your past leadership experiences and your future leadership potential. Please take note of what I just said. Your past leadership experiences and your future leadership potential. That's what must be on the essay. Okay? That's what must be on the essay. Now, if these are the things that must be in the essay, then you also have, I think last time I made us think about keywords that represent leadership. And that's where we have the bottom. How do this past leadership experience and your future leadership potential, how do they align to the value of influence? How is that something that will bring you into a place of influence? How has that led to impact? And how has that led to change, right? How has that led to impact? And how has that led to change? Now, this is what the question asks for. So let's read this question and then let's be sure that we understand the question and then let's move forward. And then when we get a blank page and we want to answer the question, you should have specific examples, right? It has to be specific examples. It has to be measurable impact. It has to show growth, right? Then it has to show future potential for leadership. Now, these are 4 key things that must be in the essay, all right? These are the 4 key things that must be in the essay. All the essays I've reviewed, right? These are the things I always watch out for. When I read your essay and these things are not there, I really don't care whether you are a medical doctor, whether you are a nurse, whether you studied education, whether you studied ACT, whether you studied banking and finance, whether you want to do eco-sustainability, whether you have 4,000 followers on LinkedIn. I really am not concerned about all of that. And those guys who would read your essays are also not concerned about that. What we are concerned about is these things that you demonstrate in your essay. The same thing with a cover letter, all right? We're basically saying, how do you fit? How do you fit what they are looking for? Okay. I think tomorrow I will bring a PDF that shows how these essays are graded, right? How these essays are graded. We'll look at that tomorrow. I think we shared it last year when we were doing interview sessions, right? How the essays are graded. The essays are graded from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is, which essay has some specificity as to examples, as to future impact and all that. So if your essays can reflect any of these things, it will be good. Now, we know when you read your own essay, you think you have written really well, right? There are some of you who are on this call who already have essays. My biggest challenge with that is I would want you to be open, to keep an open mind and let go of whatever strong idea or strong example you think you already have put up in your essay, right? So we can go through this. Now, please ignore, like I said, ignore the keywords that we put here in terms of the number of words, okay? Ignore the keywords that we put in terms of number of words. 50 words, 400 words, 70 words. Now, if you even count 450, 70, you see that's already beyond 500. All right, if you're doing the math. That's why I said ignore those words. The reason is you have 500 words, not 520 words. And you cannot and should not go beyond 500 words. Okay. And if in these 500 words, if in these 500 or with these 500 words, you cannot demonstrate it, you're going to have a problem. So I'm going to focus today's session on the main body of your essay. Every one of you already know that it's important to capture the attention of your reader, right? But every one of you are struggling, or most of you will be struggling with strong and relevant examples. So my first task today in the course of this call is, how do I produce strong, relevant examples? How do I become specific about my achievements? How do I showcase my learnings and growth? What do I say that will answer these questions? This is where our conversations would come in. So first things first, right? I'm going to show a PDF that I have put together. I think I put this PDF together, I think last year, I'm not so sure. It should be last year. I put this PDF together and and some of you might have seen it before. So I'm going to try and share it. Let me see if I can find it. Can we see my screen? Can we see a PDF on the screen, guys?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So let me zoom in so that we can see, yeah? So what I'm going to focus on here is my education and career journey. Now, I put this together. I think some folks were asking some questions and they needed like answers. And then this was the best thing I could think about, because I had followed this exact process. This is exactly what I did when I was writing my essay. And I'm going to take us to a Google document afterwards. Producing specific leadership examples is about asking yourself key questions and answering those key questions. So this is the biggest point. It's not just about writing 500 words. It's about answering the question. And the answer to your question is only as relevant as the depth of thoughts that you put into answering the question. You can't fake what you don't have. You can't fake what you don't have. You can't fake what is not there, right? If it's not there, it's not there. If you don't have examples that align, you don't have examples that align. So today in this session, we're going to think deeply about the uniqueness of our own stories and examples from our lives that we can list. So we're going to take the first bullet point here, right? So I want everyone here on this call, we're going to do this exercise. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it into a Google document and put that up on the screen. And I'm going to have you go to that document and let's work on it together. Just a moment. So this is the part where you sit up and let's do some work. So the document is going to be big. You're going to have to pick a session in the document and you're going to have to scribble things down. Okay. I'm going to target demo document. All right. Okay. Guys, are we ready to do this? Are we ready for it? Can I get some feedback?
Yes.
Hello, Church. Church, are we ready to do this?
We are ready, sir.
Okay,
Yes, we are.
Okay, cool.
Yes, we're ready,
Let's do
sir.
it. All right. What is the point of what we are trying to do? We are trying to produce specific examples that align with our unique story. Okay, that's the goal of the activity first of all. So I'm going to share another part of my screen, just a moment. Stop share. Okay. At this point, I can't even see my screen again. No. My screen has lost. Okay. Um, 20 seconds, people. Screen has been found. Document has been found. Okay, can we see it? What can we see? I need someone to speak to me. I like it.
I can see a Google Doc page.
People should respond to me.
I can see a Google Doc page.
Thank you, Basit. Okay, Google Doc page.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is on this Google Doc, right? There are some key questions we're going to try to put together. The first one is, you might not be able to answer who are you, right? But then the reason this is here is who are you as a leader? Another key thing that's important to think about is the skills of leadership. What leadership skills? Leadership skills. What leadership skills do I possess? Right? What else really? What is leadership to you? Where? I think where would be in what role? In what role should I demonstrate? This skills. All right. Okay. Then last question here would be, what impact did I have? All right. So these are the key questions we want to answer. So I'm going to like do some color grading so we can tell. So most of you will not be able to get on this document, but some of you can get on this document, but some of you might have to do it by hand on your notes. But for those of you who are interested in getting on this document and putting things down, I'm going to open this document up and then anyone can edit the document. Okay, just a moment. I need to find the Zoom app, which has for some reason disappeared. Okay. Cool. Can we see the link in the chat box, everyone? Can we see the link in the chat box? So let's get on these documents, right? Or start your own document and let's do some things. Let's walk through this. So I will do mine, you will do yours, we'll all do it together. So if you're confused, we are confused together. Ask questions, okay? Let's be confused together. Like I said, so I'm going to put a section where you can start from, right? Whoever is working on document, fantastic. I'm just going to insert a line that breaks. So start working from that line. So don't touch that upper part. Anyone who's going to work, just go down the document and walk down, right? Cool. So once you see someone working somewhere, just give the person space and go down and work. Or work on your own document. So that's what we're doing now. Who is the platypus that's still above the line? Everybody should go below the line. Just go below the line. You're going below the line. Leave above alone. Just go below the line. Right. Okay. So I'm going to attempt while others are trying to work on theirs. I'm going to attempt to answer my own question right here. Okay. Which question am I going to answer first? What is leadership to me? I will start with what is leadership to me, because right now my brain is so tired. I can't think of who I am as a leader. So let's pause. I need to be sure of who is following us and who is not following at this time. Guys, are we following? Who is following and who is
Yes,
confused?
we are. I'm
Yes, we are
following.
following.
I'm following.
I don't know who is following, Sha, but I have faith that you are following. Okay, this should not take us more than 10 minutes, right? So we have 10 minutes to do this exercise. Answer as much questions as you can answer. The person that highlighted that document, please leave that question alone. You are shading it for me, and I don't like it. I have a thing for colors. Leave that place alone. Just shift away. So when you've written anything, you can just put your name beside what you wrote, so I know who is what. Okay.
Babe, are you typing?
No, babe is not typing. Okay, yeah, Veronica. So this is it, right? We are trying to see how we can produce specific and relevant examples of leadership, right? That would be in the question, that would be in the response of your essay. But we're trying to brainstorm around leadership qualities, right? So the question is, describe your personality with at least 3 leadership qualities, right? 3 leadership qualities that you have. So what are the 3 leadership qualities that you have? So that's where we are beginning. So we are saying you have to answer the question, what leadership skills do you possess? What is leadership to you? Where did you demonstrate any of these skills? The link is in the chat box. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat box again. Veronica, does that make sense to you? And besides, you don't have to be on this document. You can do it on the WhatsApp group if that's easier for you. You can do it on pen and paper and snap it and send to the WhatsApp group, right? So yeah. Does that make sense, Veronica? Does that answer your question? Veronica, does that answer your question? I need some feedback, guys. So we have 5 more minutes. Okay. All right. For me, let me answer. What skills do I possess?
At least.
Okay, so you want to think about those skills and also where you've demonstrated it. Okay, so I think my first skill would be being visionary. Practical. I think I could replace practical with let me leave it as simple as possible. What is leadership to me? To me. Hmm. Okay. Let's keep going, guys. We're doing really great. Okay. Why did that demonstrate leadership? Definition is important to me.
No, I'll continue on my phone.
Hey guys, are we still here? Okay, so I think this would be my 3 keywords. Right. This would be my understanding of leadership. I guess for now that would do. What else? Why have I demonstrated these skills? What impact have I had? Where? Okay, so now and now, so this is the part that I want us to pay attention. Guys, let's pause for a moment, okay? Hi guys, feedback. Pause for a moment and listen. Can you hear me?
Yes, Martin.
Fantastic. So let's take a moment, okay? So really what we're trying to do is we're not trying to write as much as we want to. We are trying to produce relevant examples. That's what should be at the back of your mind. What example can I produce that will be relevant for what I want to write? So we basically said you need to be able to describe your personality with at least 3 leadership qualities or examples, right? And to do that, we said try to answer questions as, who are you? What leadership skills do you possess? What is leadership to you? Where have you demonstrated any of these skills? What impact did that have? So now this is the part that's important. Once you've written things like, I see amazing things on the screen. So Emmanuel said, communication, problem solving, interpersonal. Leadership is about influencing people to surpass their limitation. Leadership in the area of impacting knowledge. You know, Favor of Faith says, positively impact vulnerable people in Nigeria on how to be food secure through traditional food production. Damilola is still typing. She's getting there. Identifying the problem, taking initiative to address the issues. Fantastic. Now, see, you want to not think in terms of the essay. You want to think in terms of the question that's on this screen now at this point. The place where it gets, like I said, quite interesting is where you talk about how have I demonstrated this skill or this meaning of leadership that I am assuming, right? I don't need Google for this. I don't need someone's essay for this. I don't need to disturb anybody about this. I just need to think. I just need to put off my phone and think, right? I have a brain. I have 2 eyes. It means I'm supposed to be self-sufficient and also know when to reach out to people for support. So this is what we're going to do. Now, I said that I'm visionary, I'm selfless, and I'm deeply committed to finishing anything I start. I said that I believe leadership is leaving behind a legacy of change that made people's lives 1% better, right? So that when I die, that's all that's left. They have the memories in their head, and there was some sort of change. But that's not going to be in the essay. Of course, you know that's not going to be in the essay. So I now need to say, where have I demonstrated these skills? So first I make a list of places. Where did I demonstrate these skills, right? Where? So this is where I answered the where. So now I have to think clearly. Okay, so you might say, okay, I graduated, well, okay, I was in uni, and when I was in uni, what did I do in uni? Maybe in uni you said, let's say, I was head of NAIS, just whatever, right? Or during my practicum, So now I want you to think about where you demonstrated any of these skills. So when you, this time around, just make a list, not what you've done. Make a list of the places where you know that you demonstrated leadership potential, strong leadership examples, right? This is what you do at this point. Where did you demonstrate it? Leadership potential and strong leadership examples. Are we following, guys? Hi. Veronica,
Yes, yeah.
you're writing on the screen. Okay, guys, so let's do that for the next 5 minutes. Where did you demonstrate these skills? Before we talk about impact, let's talk about where you demonstrated this leadership skill that you're talking about, okay? So go ahead, in the next 5 minutes, let's write where. Some of you already answered the question, but let's write where, okay? Let's write where. I'm seeing interesting things on this document. Let's keep going, just keep going, guys, keep going. So for me, I could then say, to make it more concise, you could say as a student, because both of these things are equal to when I was a student. So I can say maybe as a student, yeah? As a student. I can leave that as a student. It can be there. I can then say as an employee at where? In PHCDA, right? Where else? Okay, where else did I demonstrate leadership? You know, you're thinking, maybe you would then say as a volunteer. As a volunteer at, where were you the volunteer though? As a volunteer at the Go Eat Foundation. I don't know what that is. I've never heard about that though. Where else? Maybe as a startup founder. When I started the company that failed. Sorry, the company that failed. So you keep making a list. You're just thinking, where have I actually taken responsibility? Because you see, all the things you want to show, this, I'm going to put the ones that are very important that have to show, right, is initiative. Initiative has to show in your examples of leadership. Initiative has to show, right? Responsibility has to show, all right? Influence has to show. The ability to be forward thinking has to show. What else is there? What else is there? Anything that you know about leadership has to show. Okay. So, but these four, they're very important. So, responsibility that directly translates to problem solving, right? Or meaningful contribution. So some of you, I'm not a founder, but meaningful contributions, all right? Meaningful contributions within a team. These are also good things to think about. So whether you just coming out of NYSC, whether you are an employee, whether you are anywhere, as long as you've been within a team, you've been part of a community, you have an example to give. You just have to think of which example it's going to be. Hello, guys. Can we hear me?
Yes.
So,
Yes, we can hear you.
when I was involved, maybe during my internship, right? So I can then add, maybe I can say during my internship, right? So it depends. Where you demonstrate leadership depends. So you just have to keep thinking. Maybe during my internship, right? During my internship, what else? Maybe when I started my WhatsApp business, you know? So lots of examples. So when you have that list, so let's see. Where? So where? So please let's answer where, right? Where? So when you've answered where, then we will now answer what. What did you do and what was the result? What did you do and what was the result? All right? So this is what. So this is the part I want us to stay on because this is the most relevant part. Okay? I'm going to pause, turn up my screen for a moment, and then let's get feedback. Let's get people talking about what they've done in the places they are highlighted. I need 3 persons who want to volunteer and say, okay, this is what I believe is leadership. This is where I demonstrated it. And this is what I did, right? You could give one example because we want to take 3 persons. So, okay. So I need 3 hands raised now who want to give feedback All right, let's get 3 persons. I have the first hand. Cecilia is the first hand. Let's get 2 more hands. Basit is the second hand. Who's going to be the third hand? Third hand. 3 persons who are going to give examples. So we're going to pause the screen share. Okay. We'll pause the screen share. Those of us who are not from Nigeria, where are we? Why am I only seeing Nigerians raising their hand? I mean, this is a... Okay. I'm going to call names now. I'm going to attend to those hands that are raised. I'm going to call names. So when I call you, just unmute your mic and respond. I need to know that you're following. So Zinfronza, are you here? Zinfronza, are you here? Wina, are you here? Are you following? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm following. Thank you.
Okay. When I call you, just unmute your mic and speak to me. William Donko, can you hear me? Are you here?
Yes, I'm following.
Victory, O-N-Y-A. Victory, O-N-Y-A.
Yes, I'm here and I'm following. Thank you.
Vivian Okeyo. Vivian Okeyo. Because some of you would have joined and go and drop the phone.
Yes, Martin, I'm here.
No. I will skip Tolu Lope Alao. Tolu Alade. Tolu?
Yes, I'm here.
You are here, but what did you follow that exercise?
My network is poor, but I followed it.
You said what?
Because the network is a bit poor, but
Okay, I was struggling to hear you. Solomon Atepo.
Yes, I'm following.
Fantastic. Sharifa.
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Samuel Kefas. Samuel, you're on the streets. Samuel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Where are you joining in from?
I'm joining from Oyo State.
Where you the waka dey go? Where you the waka go?
I'm just coming back from work.
Okay, oh, you're not here.
Yeah.
All right. Shaliza. Shaliza, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Said, we are still in the streets trying to publish news. Said. Said has gone to write newspaper. Okay.
I'm dropping. Said is there. I'm dropping messages on the group. Network is terribly bad there, so my assignment is on the page on the WhatsApp group.
Very, very proactive. Okay,
I
great.
just had my name Said, like that's why I just had it on there.
Ruth.
Can you hear me?
Okafor, yes, I heard you, Said. Ruth.
Hey, network.
Martin, don't skip my name, please. Standing note.
Ruth Okafor. Faustina, where is Ruth? Okay.
Martin, sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Said. I heard you. Prudent.
Hello?
Yes, I heard you, Said. I heard you.
I'm present. I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard you, Said. Oh, Said is struggling with network. Somebody should pray for Said. Promise.
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Praise Adekola or praise Adekunle good. Okay. Peace.
I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Oh, peace. Yesu. You what? Peace. Yesu. Peace has gone to make a bar for the kids. Okay. Owen Abuka. All right. I trust the rest of you you're following, right? I might not be able to call out the names. I mean, there are 18 names, so they're about 5 pass out. Okay. Ogechi, you can speak. Tell me what leadership is to you, where you've demonstrated those skills. 1 minute. Okay, Cecilia, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Good evening.
Evening.
Well, leadership to me is actually like keeping this the stage for others to walk through. That's pointing the lights for the other people to follow through. And I've exhibited that as the founder of Cecilia for Empowerment Foundation, where should I continue with where?
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Yusuf Abdulaziz Farouk. Yusuf Abdulaziz Farouk, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Where have
Yeah.
you demonstrated leadership and what is leadership to you?
Yeah, I've demonstrated leadership as a partnership manager with the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So I worked with environmental organizations, facilitated partnerships, and also ensure that they get to carry out environmental impacts in the work due to digital activities like gamings and all those things. So we ensure that they have
Okay, that's enough.
impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Put a pin on that. We'll get back to that. Basit and then Michael. Basit.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
The first leadership skill I talked about was problem solving, and the way I went about this was that in my 300 level, I found out about like scholarship, and I discovered that most of like architecture students in my school, they have no idea. Even I too, I was just opportune to like to get the information and apply. Then I got the scholarship. Then by realizing that, I created a community called Scholarship Live. We share scholarship updates to people coming to like students in lower in lower levels, so that like it doesn't get too late before they also find out about scholarship, just like it happened to me too.
Okay, thank you very much. It took more than a minute, but thank you. Last person, Michael and Ali Mohammed. Michael Ali Mohammed.
Is it Michael Showme?
Yes, Michael Showme. Is there another
Thank
Michael?
Okay,
Michael Jackson or something. Okay, Michael Showme.
All right, thank you very much. So, in 3 words, 3 qualities, leadership to me involves relationship management, involves problem solving. Right, by problem solving, for me, I've demonstrated problem solving by I identified the problem that was hindering my firm from achieving a quarterly goal, with our partner actually. So what I did was I identified the
Thank you. Don't do. Thank you.
All right.
Ali Mohammed.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so thank you. And to me, leadership means taking responsibility, showing an empathy, and being a problem solver. And I demonstrated that through an NGO that I founded in 2017. So one of the recent projects I executed was I having realized that in the community where I live in, there are many women who are not able to access funding to fund their businesses. So I organized series of lectures where I helped many of these women write bankable and scalable business plan, and they're able to secure over 25 million naira as a loan.
Thank you. Don't do. Thank you.
All right.
Good guy. Okay, guys, can we all see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. So now, if you followed up to this point, we said introduction of your leadership essay, capture the attention of the reader and introduce your key message. So your key message is basically what leadership means to you. Number one, see, it should not be a personal thing. In terms of your field, right? in terms of your field of influence, as it flows from your life. So it has to be personally connected, not just personal to you, okay? So capturing the attention of your reader by introducing that. So that's the reason. The relevance of that activity, what is the meaning of leadership to you, saves you a lot of stress from looking for quotes. So you don't need quotes. You don't need quotes. He who sits his hand on your back and folds it, it's like a, you don't need that. You need to express your own meaning of leadership in the introduction. The next thing is you then need to give, out of the examples of where you've demonstrated leadership, strong examples. See, the keyword here is not example, all right? The keyword here is what? Everyone says strong example. Type it in the chat. Everyone, let's type strong in cap locks. Type strong in cap locks. Strong example in the chat. Strong example. You have to give strong example in the chat. So that's it. So the example has to be strong. So whether you win it or not depends on how strong your example is. So can you give a strong example? You see that thing? That is where the work is. Do we get it now? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Cool. So now we're going to move forward. The next thing is you have to be specific. You see, this is the part where we miss it. Sometimes we give examples without being specific about what the achievements were. Some of you have stronger examples, but when they go back to you, they got you for interview because your example was strong, then they realize that on a second thought, your essays wasn't really specific. You were all over the place. So let me ask you, a simple example could be, tell me what one challenge is in your country. Tell me about one challenge in healthcare that's affecting your country, or what one general challenge in your country is, right? What is one challenge that you've experienced in your country? Now, you then say period poverty, like someone said in chat, right? But then how, if I now ask you a second question, I now say, how have you contributed to solving this problem, right? You can then go round and round and round without being specific about what you have done, right? You could then say to increase awareness about period poverty. I have done A, B, C, D that has led to D, E, F, right? So that's how it works. Your examples should be as specific as possible. That's the specificity we need, right? So when you know the problem, so people whose essays do not match their interviews are basically struggling with a key thing about specificity. It's not like they didn't have a strong, it's not like they didn't get to the interview. It's just their examples were not really strong enough, or it wasn't specific enough, right? So while you have strong potential of leadership, you don't have specificity in the problem. So there is a question in the chat box that says, must the example be relevant to the course of study or relate to the course of study? The answer is yes and no. It has to be very relative. It has to be similar of some sort. So if I'm going to give an example, and I should give example in healthcare because I am in public health, right? I should give an example in public health. So any example I'm giving from my place of work, if I'm interested in public health, should be in public health. But if I'm working in education, or let's say I'm working in a bank and I want to be in public health, I may not necessarily have public health related example. Then I can now give examples that are not related. That's why I say yes and no. Examples that are not related to my course of study, but examples that have impact in terms of how I have contributed to the growth of a team, the value of a team. And I now know that at this point in my life, I have demonstrated this leadership skill, this meaning of leadership. I'm now ready for the next phase of my life. I'm now ready to go into public health from the bank. I'm tired of being in the bank. I want to now go into public health, right? And then I have to find a justification for that in my career plan, right? The justification is very important because specificity is important. So let's move forward. We're going to go back to that document, guys. So Based on some of the feedback that the reading committee has given, the reading committee said people do not, even when they talk about their examples, they don't show what they did as part of the team, right? What you did as part of a team is important. So when you're demonstrating your examples, you should be specific about what your role was within the team. So if I said I worked on a model for identifying specific solutions, let me pause. Are we following us? Are we still here? Are we listening, guys?
Yes.
Okay, see,
Yes,
this is
sir.
what I'm saying. So when you're demonstrating strong examples, right?
Yes, sir.
There is a feedback from the committee that people's examples are really not specific. And one of these things is we are not really sure what they did. So it can be unclear what they did, right? They can say that they've done XYZ without saying what their role was within the team. So let's say I said that I was part of a project that worked on, there's a policy that I read in someone essay. I can't remember the name. So I worked on a project that identified or that models disease or blah, 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 or created models for predicting disease, etc. But the question is then, that sounds interesting. It sounds like I want to brag. But the idea is not that I should brag. The idea is I should say what my role was within the team, right? What was my role within the team, right? Was I responsible for the data collection that contributed to building the estimates? Was I responsible for putting together the arrow code that led to the building of the dashboard? I have to be specific, right, about what exactly my role was, right? Then, when I'm drawing or demonstrating that particular role, I should be able to say, these are examples from my professional experience. So please take note. Some people focus too much from their academic experience, even as far back as secondary school. So this is on the website for Chevening. So some people go back into time and stay with NYSC and stay with what they did in secondary school and what they did in the university. And there is really no direct connection with their professional experience. So you see, you want to focus on what? Professional experience. Professional experience. If you have 3 examples, one should be uni, one. If you must include anyone that's from uni, it should be one. And it should be related to professional growth. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You're following.
Cool. So some other applicants thought, because I'm the founder of AG Baby and Sons Limited, right? It's sufficient to show that I'm a leader. No, that's not sufficient to show I'm a leader, right? So some applicants assume that occupying a particular position or role was in itself sufficient to demonstrate leadership skills, often just listing the various responsibilities they have had over the years. So some of you think that examples of leadership is, oh, I was responsible for managing 250 million so-and-so fund. That's not a leadership example. That's a job description. Do you get the point? You need to be able to tell the difference between a job description and a leadership example. A leadership example often involves initiative. It often involves change. It often involves responsibility, right? So don't come and be giving us leadership examples that are leadership examples that are not, and they're actually like JDs. They're JDs, what you did. No. That's part of your job. In short, it's your responsibility to manage the fund as a banker or as an investment banker. So we don't need that, right? So that myth has to be broken off our minds. The next thing is many applicants were able to clearly define the concept of leadership, but failed to provide examples of how they exhibited it. So that's why I tell my folks, I tell them, definitions or quotes are not as relevant as the exhibition, right? This is important. So when I told you that if you are given any example, it should be relevant to what you want to do. So on the group, I think on the group during the week, I posted something. I said, for example, if I want to work in public health and I have 3 job roles I've occupied in the last 8 years, and these job roles, I did a lot of things. I did a lot of projects. I can sprinkle these things. I can break down this public health interest 1 per essay. I can put 1 in my networking, 1 in my leadership. I can put 1 in my career plan, etc. So I have to find a way. All right. So if I didn't know about putting a clear theme in my essay, I should be able to tell someone that in my leadership essay, I did this when I was at productmanagement.com. And then in my networking essay, I can say how while I was at productmanagement.com, I connected with somebody from Leave Me Alone xyz.com or .net. And we did www.whoyoube.org together as part of my networking, right? And then when it comes to career, I can then say that while doing my work at productmanagement.com, right, I was able to, what's it called? Sequencing, genetic sequencing, blah, 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 became quite interesting for me. I first learned, one of my colleagues attended a genetic sequencing course at Imperial College London, and I always saw how it worked. And this is the reason I chose this school as my first choice, right? But then if I'm saying that, I should be able to back it up with why I have a particular example. It's important. It's important. So all these connections are important. They are very important because 80 of you are hearing this right now. Not 80 of you are going to practice this. That's the truth. Only like 20 of you on this call are going to practice this. Right? But I am hoping that at least we can get up to like 40, 50, 60 people that do not just listen to this session, do these exercises, but actually sit down to do the work. I'm hoping. I am positive. All right? So, yes, bad essay. This is a bad essay, and you're going to tell me why it is bad, because I'm going to read it. A few months ago in the organization I work, I led a team to solve a problem. At first, I did all the work alone because the team members were lazy. However, after reporting to appropriate authorities, they agreed to work with me, and eventually the issue was resolved. This experience taught me the importance of leadership. All my life, I've always been a leader. From when I was young, people would always come to me for advice. And then I tried to on leadership roles without any effort. Someone else should continue the reason because I'm about to fail.
Okay.
Someone else should continue the reading of the essay.
All my life, I have always been a leader. From when I was young, people would always come to me for advice, and I naturally looked on leadership roles without any effort. In school, I was often chosen as being in charge. My teachers would praise me for being responsible and reliable, and my friends admired me for my ability to take control of situations.
Exactly.
Let's see
So,
how
what's bad about this essay? Let's talk. I need 3 persons to tell me what's bad about this essay. So Annie, you can go, and then we can have Victory. Let's have one more person.
Good evening. So,
Yeah.
beginning in the organization I work, it wasn't giving us the way, it wasn't answering the question yet. Secondly, I led a team to solve the problem. What problem? It's not outlined here. And then he went on to say the team members are lazy. Where you're not lazy, you're also lazy.
Thank
Yes,
you.
all my life. I
It's
hated that
okay. It's okay.
story.
Don't go and give all the examples. You have said enough, Annie. You have done enough. Victory is your turn.
Hi, Martin. So for me, I think these essays did not follow the STAR approach. So it was very vague. The writer was not specific as to what was done, and also their role in achieving what was done and then the results of that action. It looked like this was a complaint or a motivational write-up more than an essay that was showing leadership abilities or leadership or what has been done to show that this person was a leader. So I see it was a lot of vagueness in the essay and did not follow the STAR approach.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Victory. Who else raised their hand that I want to call? Okay. Praise Adekola. Josephine. Praise Adekola.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Yeah.
everyone. Okay. From the example, for the first one, this person is trying to, if he has forgotten it or she has forgotten it, that is a teamwork, and you trying to bring down your team members is also a way of bringing yourself down. So he's indirectly shooting himself in the leg, and it's all vague. There's no specific example. There's no specific scenario that is showing us whatever he has done, how he did whatever he did, and whatever the result was. So it's still not tracking anything.
Fantastic. Really, that's good. Yusuf, your hand is raised.
Okay, yes, sir. So I just wanted to add to what they have said. As far as I'm concerned, there is no impact and there is no influence. There's nothing. The author did not show anything that he was actually able to impact or influence. And then I also think that this could also be anybody. This is just too generic. It doesn't speaks of any individuality. It can be anybody out there that is just trying to claim what he is not. So that's my own opinion.
Thank you, Chief Yusuf. Michael.
Okay, I mean, in addition to what you've said, in summary, I would say that he did not show workings. He was just telling. So he did not show workings. He was just telling.
So you have to show workings, Michael. Workings, Abby.
Yes, sir. Sure.
I don't want to say anything. Josephine.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, able and active.
All right, thank you. So I feel like for the first point, this person is just bragging instead of presenting what really has to be presented. So you can necessarily say that my team members were very, very lazy. It's like to some extent you're not trying to give an influence to the team members. And why also are you doing all the work alone? Yet this is a leadership and influence AC. So he did not necessarily present what was supposed to be presented in the terms of influence. To me, leadership is all about onboarding people. You have to do the thing together and not just yourself.
Thank you. Fantastic. Well said. We have all said why this is a bad example. I know that none of you write this kind of essay in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, moving on.
Amen.
Okay, this is bad essay example. I think that's it. Okay, we already gave reasons. I think we've done that. So now let's look at this example of a winning essay. Growing up in Ibafo community in Ogun State, Nigeria, I witnessed severe environmental degradation due to improper waste management, causing frequent flooding and cholera outbreak. To address this, I launched the Green Ogun Initiative in 2020, mobilizing over 150 volunteers to conduct monthly cleanup exercises that cleared 12 tons of waste in 6 months. I partnered with 10 local businesses to provide resources and beans, while also leading sensitization programs in schools, across schools, to educate over 2,000 students on environmental sustainability. Despite initial resistance from local authorities, has successfully negotiated for the integration of sustainable waste management practices into the community's municipal plan. That's big. This alone is big. Within a year, flooding incidents reduced by 30%, and the community embraced regular cleanups, even though I question the fact that flooding incidents reduced. This experience taught me the power of collective action. Through the Achieving Scholarship, I aim to study environmental policy and management, enabling the scale-up of such initiatives across Nigeria. Why is this a winning essay? 2 people, 2 persons. Why is it a winning essay, guys?
It showed impact.
It showed impact. It showed impact. It has steez, right? This essay's got some steez.
Yeah, I got some steez.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, the STAR approach is being used here.
Yeah.
Where a situation is there, he has identified the problem, then the task, what he did here in this time, launched an initiative, then the actions, then of course came up with the results. Then later on, he says that there's something that he's learned. Which paragraph is that? Sorry, I'm using this phone so I can't see very well. But ideally, he uses the STAR approach with the STAR L approach in this context: situation, task, action, results, and the lessons that he's learned. And he's hoping to use this particular lesson also to further, of course, see how he can build on the initiative that he has done if he's given the scholarship.
Thank you. Yusuf. I see the learnings in the chat. Let them be coming. Yusuf, you can speak. And then,
Okay, sir. So
yeah.
for me actually apart from the impact, this essay is actually demonstrated something that can be measured, and then I think it's very important, and then making reference to specific initiative and date, and then also talking about the ability to actually mobilize people. That can only happen when there's a sustainable leadership in place. So these are the things that stood out for me.
Okay, fantastic. Oluwadamilola, you can speak.
Okay, thank you. So this essay demonstrated impact in figures and statistics, which is very nice. And then the fact that the impact, the fact that the program was integrated into the community's plan
Oluwadamilola, the networks have heard the rest things you said. Esther, you want to speak, Esther?
Okay, thank you, Martins. Good evening, everyone. For me, this essay is easy to follow. It leaves no question unanswered. So now I'm reading your essay with the idea that you're a leader. How is that? Going through this essay, the questions are clearly answered. I can see the problem. I can see what this person did about the problem and the results the person got. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I think the only person, Michael, if I don't call you now, you might arrest me. Michael, your hand is raised, or is that from before?
Yeah, that was from before. Let me drop mine down.
You can drop your hand now. I thought you were going to eat a bar. Okay, moving on, guys. In all these things, this is someone who can think beyond individuality to community. So if you're talking about winning the Chieftain Scholarship, we're saying in your country, there are young leaders in your country doing amazing things. How have you done it differently? That's basically what you're trying to say in your leadership essay. There are strong young leaders in your country who are accomplishing amazing things. How are you leading in that country, right? And you don't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be an initiative, it doesn't have to be an NGO. It can be from your professional experience, how you have demonstrated leadership in your professional life, or you show strong potential, right? So when you think leadership, think collective action, think change, think impact, right? Think selflessness, think responsibility, think forward thinking, right? These should be the things that should be at the back of your mind as you put down the essay and say that in Nigeria or in Colombia or in Malawi or in Gambia or in Ghana, right? This is important, right? This is important. Moving on. Moving on. We already have that. And we've, okay, so I think the last slide was Q&As, but we're going to go back to our exercise. So we've come to the end of tonight's slides, right? Now we are going to go straight to our activity and continue from there, producing relevant examples. How are we going to produce relevant examples? Okay. This is where I'm going to go back to the screen. Okay. Full screen. Where has that gone? All right.
Yes, sir. Please, I don't know if I can ask a question before we move forward.
Yes, you can ask. So let's take some questions, guys, before we proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much. From the examples, let's say you have your impacts that you make from not within your community. Before you could make a positive impacts, you have moved out of the country, and also possibly you are making the impact in another country, like not necessarily in Nigeria, or the impact is happening in multiple countries. So how are you going to tie it back to your home country as an example? Because you are not really having an example that is related to your community and home country. So how do you address that?
That is a good question. Okay. I'm going to say two things. The first one is professional experience has nothing to do with your country. It has everything to do with you. You working in a place where you solve problems, right? That's what professional experience has to do, right? So in terms of how can you connect your professional experience as international, in my role, right, I was not really doing things within Nigeria. I was doing things outside of Nigeria. But I was able to show in my essay, I'm not at liberty to share that right now, but I was able to show in my essay that first, this is what leadership means to me, right? This is how I embodied leadership, rather, right? In this role, in this country, with this project. So the impact doesn't have to be back, right? It doesn't have to be back in my own country. I just have to show that I understand what leadership is, and then I can connect it back to my interest in why I believe that problem solving is something I can do better when I'm able to do my master's. And then I return to my country, and this is what I'm going to do when I get there, right? Do you get? Now, what am I saying? First, professional experience has nothing to do with your country. Leadership experience has nothing to do with your country. It has everything to do with how you are solving problem. How are you solving problem in that place, wherever you are? So if I can say that I'm solving problems in this place, I can then say that if I transfer this to this place, right, I will be able to do the same or do even more. All right. I'm already solving problems in Sudan. With the Chevening Scholarship, I can do much more. So my essay should demonstrate that with this kind of potential, combined with this opportunity, right, I can then be amplified. Okay, so this is to answer your question, Yusuf. If you've been working internationally, you can give international example of what you've done, and then you can then say, this is how I've embodied leadership, right? And this is what I want to do with the Chevening Scholarship in Nigeria. So you can then say that this is how you also solve a problem in Nigeria. All right. Blah, blah, blah. That will be in your career essay, etc. Okay. But just demonstrate leadership in your essay. That's all you need to do. You don't need to be saying the problems you solved in your country, the problems you solved, the impact you made, right? And why you want to be part of the Chevening community. That's the most important part. All right. That's the most important part. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Azra, do you want to unmute your mic and speak so I can understand your question, Azra? Azra, do you want to unmute your mic and speak so I can understand your question? Azra? Azra Ali, okay, you can speak now. Let me try and make my own impression of your question. Your question is saying, does this mean examples should be related to what I'm going to study in the UK? So examples can be related if they are related, right? If they are not related, like I said in my description earlier or in my explanation earlier, if you're already working in public health and you want to go and study public health, then your examples can be related. But if you're working in environmental sustainability, but you want to go and do, what do you want to go and do? You want to go and do AI, right, in your master's, they are not related. So your examples will be in environmental sustainability, and you will then have to find a way to connect it in your career plan. So in your career plan, you have to connect a clear career plan of why you're going from environmental sustainability to AI. So your examples do not have to be related to what you want to study in the UK. That's to answer your question. All right. I hope that answers your question. But if they do, fantastic. If they don't, you can't force what you don't have. Okay. So you have to find a way to make connections in your career essay. There's some answer raised. Josephine, you can speak. Josephine,
Hello.
do you want to speak?
Hi.
Yes, I can.
I have a question in
Yes,
regards to
please.
the readership aid. So let's assume someone wants to study maybe media and global development, right? So pretty much she's looking at global development on the angle of Africa and elsewhere, not necessarily where she's from. They say I'm from Malawi. So I'm not really targeting Malawi. I'm targeting Africa as a community that I'm coming from, simply because in Africa we have this issue of underdevelopment and everything following. Is it proper in that way, or we really need a narrowed down kind of an environment whereby I will say Malawi, not just Africa as a whole?
Are you talking about your leadership essay? Have you
Yes.
solved problems somewhere else?
Sorry, can I have your question again?
Have you solved problems elsewhere apart from Malawi?
So I worked with an organization. I'm still working. This one it's on an international scale.
Yeah.
So it has its branches also in Uganda. I think there is Zambia, Zimbabwe. So yeah, I'm looking at it on that angle, since some of the aspects that I'm targeting in my readership AC are to do with those countries also.
Have you done anything in Malawi, first of all?
Sure.
Good. Then say that, and then say that this would allow you scale. So this is where amplification comes in. Amplification and borderless careers. So the Chevening Scholarship gives you the ability to be amplified, right? That's something to think about. The Chevening Scholarship gives you the ability to build a borderless career, right? That's why a master's is the next point in your journey. All right.
Okay.
I've been doing this here, and here, right? I want to do this even more rooted in these locations, right? There really is no hard or fast rule to it. Your examples just have to be specific, clear, all right? And then
All right.
they have to be relevant.
Okay.
All right. Owen, you said, does all the examples have to be related, or can they be distinct? I thought I've been saying this since. I thought I've been saying it. I don't know what you mean related. Do you mean if you've worked in a place for 8 years? If you worked in a place for 8 years, all your examples are going to come from that company. Do you mean related to a job, or related in terms of the sector? What do you mean related, Ebuka? So you have to clarify. So while you are clarifying in the chat box, Oluwadamilola, you can speak. I'll take one more
Thank you
question
very
and then I'll move
much.
forward. Yeah.
Okay.
Damilola,
Am I
yes.
audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Am I
You can be
audible?
heard. You can be heard.
Okay. So one of the challenge I faced while writing the leadership essay was that I found it hard to keep my essay within the word limit, because without losing the important details in the action that I performed to address a problem and the results that it had. But I noticed that in the award-winning essay that was showcased a few minutes ago, the writer went from describing the problem directly into stating the action that was performed. What do you say about that, sir?
Your question is not clear to me. Maybe you should help me. Ask again.
Okay, so I know we have to follow the star approach when writing essays, and after stating the problem, given the situation, then we mention the tasks to be performed before stating the action and then stating the results. So while writing my leadership essay, one of the challenges I faced was keeping everything I have to write within the word limit without losing the important details in the action and in the result section. So I'll notice that the essay that was displayed, the award-winning, the good example essay that was displayed, the writer, the environmental sustainability example, the writer went from stating the problem directly into writing the action that was performed to address the problem. Like there was no line in between the situation and the action performed that states the task to be performed. Am
Okay.
I clear?
Okay, I hear you now. I understand. Thank you. So you are stuck in your mind, somewhere in your mind, you are like, this is not a STAR approach. How does it work? Right? How is it connected? So let me say this, guys. This is when it comes to approaches or frameworks, whether it's scientific research or anything at all, you use the approach that fits what you want to do. So if what I want to say is not something that was given to me as a task, I can't use a STAR approach. I can't. I shouldn't use a STAR approach. That's why last week when I told you guys about the STAR approach, I said, do not stay hung up on the STAR approach. If I want to describe something I did that has no specific task that I was assigned, then I can use context. I can say what the context is in terms of the situation, the problem that's being solved or that would be solved, and then the action, and then the result. So you can call that CARO or CAROD. You can call that the CAR approach. For all of you that like acronyms, I don't know what people have to do with acronyms. For people that like acronyms, you can call it CARO approach or CAROD approach. The context. So this guy or this example that you saw did not talk about task because there was no task assigned, right? Because it was not assigned a task as an employee, etc. But there was context, the problem that was being solved, and then there was action, and then there was result. Okay, and then there was the difference it made. So that's CAROD, card. So if we're talking about approaches, you're going to hear approaches, you're going to tire, you're going to hear star L, you're going to hear star B, you're going to hear star Z. You might even hear whiskey, right? So you will hear a lot of things. So find whatever you say. It should be clear what you did. It should be clear what the situation is, and it should be clear what the difference it made. That's the summary of all of that. Okay, so don't stay hung up on any approach, whether it's star L or star J. Okay, does that answer your question, Damilola?
Yes, thank you very much.
Cool. Okay, the last question, T, your hand is raised. You can speak.
Good evening.
Hi, evening.
So I want to ask, like for me, the example I want to make is one of the projects I did while I was in school, and that was um during COVID-19. I schooled at Akure, so there was no proper siting of the vaccination centers and test centers. So I worked about using GIS to kind of do geospatial analysis and bring
Yeah. So
about
what's the question? I understand the
yeah.
situation.
So and I did another one on climate change for another area too. So I want to ask that, can that serve as a leadership, since there's no group, the one that side the problem and I worked on it myself without a group. I did it alone.
Good question. If you did it alone, it's still a leadership example. It's still an initiative, right? But you did it when you were a student, right? If I'm not mistaken, you did it as a student.
Yeah.
Cool. So then the context for you is not star. The context for you is what the problem is, what the problem you identified was, rather, and then the action you took, and then the results you got. CAR, period. That's on period, right? And the examples are relevant, even if one is climate change and the other is this, right? Ultimately, we want to know what you want to do with these plenty skills you have. we need to be clear what exactly you want to do, whether you want to stay in GIS, want to do geospatial modeling, or you want to do climate change financing, climate change advocacy, or you want to do
I'm interested in environmental sustainability and climate change.
That's the thing. Everybody's interested in climate change these days, right? And some people are really not sure. So let me ask just one question. I'm going to pause the recording so it doesn't go on it. Recording in progress. Going on to where we were. Where were we? Let me share my screen and let's do this last exercise as we wrap off in 7 minutes. We were on a document. So I want to show the document we were working on earlier. Okay, cool. I've seen it. All right. So we've talked about what the skills are. You've identified your skills. A lot of you here on this document have identified your skills. Some of you have also identified the context, right? So now I'm going to try and attempt to answer in simple sentences how we properly describe the where and the what. So I began to say here, let's say I'm picking the one that says during my internship, right? So this might be second example or third example. So let's say during my internship. So I can say during my internship, right? So I'm giving context to where XYZ Communications, XYZ Communications Technology. So I'm not a founder, I'm an employee in this particular place. I'm in short, I'm an intern, right? So my internship involved maybe first for the beauty of throwing words around basic policy analysis for decision making. By following up with non-state actors, right? Blah, 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 right? What was the problem I identified? So maybe problem is, let's put the problem. What's going to be the falsified problem, or what did I do? Okay. We needed to do costing for sexual competence interventions across sexual competence interventions across WSF, across secondary schools in Colombia. Secondary schools in Colombia. Right. Now, during that costing, what was I responsible for? My role. Yeah. I was responsible for what? What was I responsible for? Responsible for extracting what? Relevant outcomes estimates to measure the use of contraceptives. And the optic of peer to peer sex education. Blah, blah, blah. Colombia again, Colombia. Remember Colombia. Now, so you need to go ahead and list as much examples as you can, right? So here, what I did here is I extracted data for this and blah, 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 but I shall not put the results that led to. So you want to put this and include results or the difference it made, right? I have to list a lot of this. Then I can then say, second example, right? Between 2020 to 2022, I worked with the Department of blah, 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 the DOS, for what? What did I do? So I'm completely ignoring founders and NGOs because it seems like the scale is tilting towards founders and NGOs, etc. Right? So I worked with the Department of State to create animated film series for what? For the use of contraceptives. All right. And for inclusion in the pilot study for sexual competence. Sexual competence is actually a real thing, guys. Sexual competence in Colombia. Right. What else did I do? I also evaluated the difference in difference during a baseline and the end line. Yeah, for this, blah, blah, right? So results and difference, right? So at this point, I've not included the examples in my essay yet. I am just listing out the things I can remember that I've done, right? So you have to list out these things. You have to list them out. The things that I did as a team member, as myself, that I have done, right? So when you list out all of these examples, then you go back to the Chevening question, right? Chevening is looking for future leaders who have demonstrated strong leadership and influencing skills in their professional experience, who are also future leaders in their country or in their chosen fields, right? That's what they are looking for. So I now look for which of these examples can do this for me. Remember, the key word is what, guys? Strong examples, right? Strong examples. Are we following, guys? Did you follow up to this point?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
So great. So your assignment for tonight is dump on this document in the section where your name is all the relevant examples and achievements that you think will be important for your Chevening application. All right, do you get it? Do you get it?
Yes, Martins.
Fantastic. That brings me to the end of our session tonight. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I hope you learned a thing or two. So I'll stop sharing my screen now. And we can take some questions. Just one question. Questions, feedback, comments, guys. So I'm going to dump the link to the document in the group chat again. That's a group chat. No, not group chat. In the chat box. Chat box, not group chat. Okay, that's it. So, yeah, I'm going to stop recording the session. Recording, stop.